Imagine if you turned on your favorite political podcast and instead of talking politics, they were talking about the worm guard. You would
That would
probably
be fucking. That would be awesome. Can you imagine that if we just somehow infiltrated every like major political podcast? Hey, I'm Mike, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about a little thing we call deep half guard. Oh, they're going to be like, "What the fuck is deep half guard? Is that something Russian? Is that code word for some Russian attack?"
I'm Justin Lesko, a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu brown belt and former pro MMA fighter.
And I'm Mike Callahan, a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu brown belt and a law enforcement officer.
We all know Jiu Jitsu is an amazing sport and we love it very, very, very much.
Yeah, I mean, we started a podcast about Jiu Jitsu just so we can talk about it more than we already do.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to spend all day arguing about Jiu Jitsu and making fun of each other, we might as well record it, right?
Definitely. But as much as we love Jiu Jitsu, there are some things about it that just don't vibe, that aren't the best.
Some things we may want to change if we were given the chance.
So change number one would be that everyone wears Epic Roll gear, instead of the dog shit that they're wearing now.
Epic Roll is a jiu-jitsu lifestyle brand with the goal of connecting the jiu-jitsu community while also helping you look your best both on and off the mats.
Yeah, you can follow them on Instagram at EpicRollBJJ, or you can go to their website at www.epicrollbjj.com. And guys, they have everything that you need there. They have rash guards, gis, belts, shorts, t-shirts. I've said it before, but anything and everything that you need. Go to their website, go to their Instagram page, check it out. They got you covered.
And if you use the code podcast15, you can get 15% off your order. epicrollbjj.com and code podcast15. The link is below in the description as well.
Now let's make some changes. Welcome to That Jiu Jitsu Podcast.
Did you make a list of things you would change about jiu-jitsu, or are we working mostly from my list?
I mean, no, we're working from your list. I have stuff in my head, but
usually the way that things like this go when there's a list involved is it runs off of my list and then it makes you think of other things that make you mad, and then we kind of tangent off into that.
Then we get sidetracked, and then it's 10 o'clock at night, and anyway.
So I was thinking about this because I was just cruising the other day and I stumbled across an article about, it was like a white belt, new person to jiu-jitsu, and they were like, is it weird that I don't like it kind of thing? Because everyone pretty much loves jiu-jitsu when they try it, so the person kind of felt like they were odd for not liking it. So it made me think of what are some things that would make a person not like jiu-jitsu? Which then made me think, what are some things that I don't like about jiu-jitsu? So I'm interested to hear if they're the same things when I tell you what's on our list, if you agree with those things.
Our list.
Yeah.
It's our list.
Have you ever worked in a group project before? You know why we're saying our list and not Mike's list and Justin's list. My number one thing that I would change about jiu-jitsu, if I could, is the name Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm not getting back into
please don't.
I'm not getting back into American Jiu-Jitsu versus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which we did a video on American Jiu-Jitsu versus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'll put it up here.
Right.
Or somewhere.
It's just
up. It's up there somewhere.
It's not in the cloud. Because let's be honest, we don't know what the fuck happens in the cloud.
I don't know how the cloud works.
There's 2 or 3 episodes of this show that are lost somewhere in the fucking cloud, and we'll never get it back. But anyway.
And again, I understand the etymology of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it's a South American nationality with some Japanese words. I'm not Brazilian. I don't speak Japanese. And I don't like that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sounds to an outsider like a traditional martial art. It sounds like a karate, or it sounds like kung fu, or it sounds like taekwondo. And I don't like being lumped in with traditional martial arts. So if I could make a change, it would be that the name would be something different.
It's crazy to me because this is, write this down. It's March 31st. It's 8:28 p.m. I'm going to give you a big compliment. You're an incredibly intelligent individual. And when you were talking to me about this today, I was actually really excited because I thought like you were going to come up with some like, jaw dropping potential changes. But for you to like lead off with that,
Yeah. Is that too big of a
took the wind
change?
out. No, you took the wind out of my sails, bro.
Oh, sorry to do that. Well, there's more on the list, so maybe I'll put some wind back into
Okay.
sails.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of to go along the lines of what we said before when we were talking about the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu versus American Jiu Jitsu, the name doesn't bother me. It doesn't. I I get that it has roots in South America, hence Brazilian, and it originated, through pieces of Japanese jiu-jitsu, but that was the base. So I'm okay with it.
I'm
Doesn't
okay
bother me.
with it. It doesn't keep me up at night, but like if we could,
Oh, it's first thing on your list.
it is.
First thing on your list.
It is.
It's first thing.
I don't like being traditional martial arts all lumped in together because it has a Japanese sounding name and it's confusing.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I haven't watched it because I saw the trailer for it and it was unbelievable. And unbelievable, I mean bad. But have you seen the movie Jiu Jitsu?
With Nick Cage?
Yeah.
No, I haven't because I read the plot summary where it's something like he fights
But
like an alien or something, and then
yeah, and he's got a sword and it's just somebody taking the name Jiu Jitsu, and I don't know. However, that's the only name related issue I have. Nothing against you, Nicolas Cage. Feel free to come onto the show.
anytime, always welcome. A big change that I do think should be made. I think cost is a big barrier for people to compete, not just train. Like, yeah, if you go to a school and they're charging you $400 a month, like that's a lot of money, but also, so like Mike said, it's March 31st. The next IBJJF tournament, I did some research because I'm a professional. The next,
Well, it's April 10th. It's April 10th in Charleston. So.
yes, it's April 10th in Charleston.
Okay.
It's $128 to register for potentially one match. It's $40 for the IBJJF membership fee that all belts have to pay now in order to compete. So just for that tournament, you're at $168 for potentially one match. If you're a new black belt and you want your black belt certificate from the IBJJF, that's $400. If you paid your $40 membership card, like you're a purple belt, you paid your $40, in 6 months you get promoted to brown belt, you got to pay $40 again to upgrade after your promotion. It's a big cash grab.
If you want to compete as a black belt, you have to pay $400.
If you want to get your black belt certificate that the IBJJF like recognizes you as a black belt, it's $400.
Are you allowed to compete as a black belt without them recognizing you as a black belt?
I don't think you can have students compete under your name, or you can't be a recognized affiliate, but I think you can compete without getting your certificate. But if you're a black belt, you probably want that certificate. So money's a barrier to a lot of sports, and ours is one of them.
The IBJJF is crazy with their pricing. They're crazy. Charging that much money. I can even understand the fees for the tournaments, whatever. I can understand that. I can't get on board with the memberships for every belt. It's just so obvious that it's a scam to get more money.
Right.
And you know what really pissed me off was when they wouldn't let people compete under the BJJ Globetrotter name.
Yeah. Yep.
That pissed me off. I really like what the Globetrotters do. I like how they're just kind of affiliate free. That's not my style. I need structure. I need an academy. I need a routine. But I can appreciate what they do. Justin and I just heard the other day about this place called, and I don't mean to laugh, it's called Open Source Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's somewhere down in North Carolina, and apparently they are on some type of a compound where they don't charge, or you pay what you can and you can live there, and instead of paying you can contribute by working around the compound, and they're essentially taking the money aspect out of it, which is admirable and commendable, I guess. But
it sounds a bit strange, and if you've ever gone there, please send us a message and you can come on the show and talk about it.
Or let's get those people on there to talk about it. We're not saying strange in a bad way. How about we say unique?
Different.
Which means unique. But they take the money part out of it.
You know what else could take the money part out of it is if you used our coupon code podcast15 at Epic Roll BJJ, and you could reduce the cost of your gear by 15%.
Yeah,
and as Mike said in our intro, they have everything you could possibly need. So epicrollbjj.com.
Well,
epicrollbjj.com. But,
if you're quoting me, I said anything and everything. And yeah, you could remove 15% of the money aspect from your purchase there. But just, tell them that you know us. Anyway.
But staying on the IBJJF for a second, it just seems a bit overboard considering what you're paying for. And yes, they run more closely on schedule than if you go to Naga or if you go to New Breed or any of these local tournaments. But I think we need to stop putting the IBJJF on this pedestal of how great their tournaments are when they're really cash grabbing in a lot of ways.
I don't like their weigh-in procedures either. That's me being petty, but I don't like how if you show up and you're a fucking ounce overweight, that they disqualify you. Like, you don't get a second weigh, and it's just weird.
Yeah.
Again, IBJJF, there's a good chance that your boys are trying to compete at one of your events coming up, so don't hold it against us. We're just being objective and honest. You gotta make some changes.
Hey, you came to the weigh-ins and your sleeves on your gi are a quarter of an inch too long. But hey, look, right over there is our gi stand, and you can buy one of our gis for $250 and you'll still be able to compete today. Interesting how that worked out.
The reputation is partially built on the perception that surrounds that organization. I shouldn't say partially. The majority of their reputation is built on the perception of this prestigious thing. And I don't mean to put air quotes, as if they're not. As if it's not a prestigious organization that has these well-known tournaments. But if you say you're a world champion and they're like, oh, where are you a world champion at? Or what tournament did you win? You won worlds? What world tournament did you win? Or what world championships did you win? Oh, Naga. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, you're an IBJJF world champion?
They're definitely the most prestigious organization. No taking that away. There's no changing that, I don't think. Just I in general, like we got narrowed in on the IBJJF, but just in general, the cost factor of competing and a barrier to participation being cost. Ideally, everyone could train for as cheap as possible, where gym owners still make money, apparel companies still make money, but it's not like outrageous where people have to take out a second mortgage to train, or they have to choose between can I afford a car payment or my membership dues at my academy. Like, let's get more people training.
Let's settle on this for the IBJJF discussion. It is the highest of qualities. The highest of quality in terms of, I don't even know how to say this. If you go to these tournaments, you're fighting quality opponents. They just, and they have a reputation for being, as we said, the most prestigious organization around. But they could stand to make a few modifications to their approach.
Agreed.
To improve. Let's just leave it at that. All right, guys, we just wanted to take a quick break from the show to kind of give you a heads up and fill you in on what we have going on over the next couple of days.
Right. We have a lot of content in the works, and we don't want you to miss anything.
So make sure you guys are subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you're on there, you're going to be able to see bonus clips that aren't going to be available with the audio versions of our podcast.
Yeah, sometimes when something happens like breaking news, we'll put out a short YouTube video talking about it and giving you our quick thoughts, and we don't want you to miss that if you usually only listen to the audio. Coming up later this week on YouTube, we have another episode, and this one is with a Submission Underground World Champion, and we're very excited for that.
Also coming up this week on Patreon, we have our monthly Q&A as well as our blooper reel. And if you guys have been privy to them in the past, you know that that's some quality entertainment coming your way.
That's right. You can subscribe to us on Patreon, which is separate from our YouTube, where you get lots of bonus content for as little as $3 a month. Plus, you get early access to episodes and you listen to every episode ad-free. And it's just a great way to help support your favorite show in the world.
So we put the links to our Patreon and to our YouTube channel below. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. And please consider supporting the show through our Patreon. Again, any and all support is greatly appreciated. And now back to the show.
I think the next one on my list is something that I do think you could speak to because you have trained at multiple schools under multiple instructors, more so than I have. But I think as a sport, we would be better off if we lost some of the tribalism, some of the I don't like you inherently because you train at that school and that's your only defining quality is you train over there, so I don't like you, or coaches getting mad that their students might go to an open mat at a different academy.
Bro.
So, okay, yeah. Let's also remember, probably 75% of the people who train jiu-jitsu fall into the hobbyist category, are people who just like jiu-jitsu, and rather than going to play pickup basketball, they do jiu-jitsu. They like it more than other sports, but they're not trying to be world champions. They're not trying to win worlds. Like they do it for fun. You don't see in other sports like that. Like I wouldn't be at Wawa and see someone and be like, oh, that guy's on a different hockey team in my hockey league, so fuck him. I fucking hate him. But if there's schools, jiu-jitsu schools, where if someone walked in and you saw them wearing a hoodie from your rival school, you immediately dislike them. Like, it's so stupid. And I'm fortunate I've never been part of, I hate that guy because he trains there, but it exists a lot more than it should.
And don't get me wrong, there's people that I've encountered throughout my time in jiu-jitsu that I don't like, but it has nothing to do with them training in other places. I don't have a predisposed attitude one way or the other towards somebody because they train at a certain gym.
Like, remember a couple months ago there was a fight at one of the Fight to Wins, and it was like just two gyms who don't like each other going for a fight. Like, what's the point in that you guys can't be in the same place? You can't be at the same competition because you're gonna have to fight each other because you don't like each other that much.
Yeah, it is dumb. It's supposed to be the one of the foundations of this sport is, inclusion and peace and, respect. And it's bullshit when that doesn't, over what? Over where you train at? No, I mean, if I ever opened a school, anybody can come train anytime, and if I go to a place and I sense like hostility because I don't train there, I'm fucking out. Not that it matters to them. They're like, see you, dude. I'm like, oh, yeah. It's never happened, but that's just my outlook on it. There's no reason. Like, let's just train. Yeah. I'm not trying to win a world championship.
Well, when I was still fighting MMA, there's a lot of schools in our area, and I would really not try to go to other places and drop in because you don't ever know who's going to see you. Like, and it's not because I'm afraid that, oh no, here comes someone I might fight, so now we're going to have to throw down. Like, it's just, I don't want people to see my technique. I don't want them to see things I like because I might end up needing to compete against them. But it's not oh, that guy trains over at that school, so like, I'm going to fuck him up now. Like, that's not what it is. And I get it. Like, there are legitimate situations where two schools constantly compete against each other, and maybe there's been, small incidents that have happened and you try to keep a distance. But if you're a coach and you get legit pissed that one of your students is friends with someone who trains at another school, you should reevaluate your opinions on a lot of things.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Next on my list, I'm guilty of this too. This is an introspective change. I have it listed on my category as idol worship, where I really like certain guys. I really like Keenan. I really like Lachlan Giles. I really like Craig Jones. I like a lot of their technique. Putting people on a pedestal, though, of like, no matter what they say, they're infallible in a way. Like, make your game your own game. Borrow the techniques from the people that you want to borrow techniques from, but don't worship these people like they're gods.
People who, from the outside of jiu-jitsu, on the outside, who don't train or who have very limited knowledge of it, how many times have you heard jiu-jitsu being called a cult? Oh, it's a cult. Like, these gyms are cults, like they're little cliques. And that's one thing too, is that when you go to these gyms, there's a tendency for these cliques to develop. I don't know what it is, but there is. It's just these gyms get cliquey. The place that I'm at now, I was telling Dave and Robinson this the other day. The place that I'm at now, it's like I show up, I train, I go home. It's not close to my house. There's no drama. You know what I mean? Like, I just like a drama-free environment, and it kind of goes along those lines of like, just keep jiu-jitsu about jiu-jitsu. Like, no need to worship these guys. No need to look past anything other than like, they're like, how are these guys releasing DVDs? Are they putting up clips on social media that I can watch and make me better? Other than that, like, I'm good. Make sense?
It does make sense. And when you say things like, it feels like a cult, I don't think we need to bow to a picture of a dead guy hanging on the wall before we leave the school. Like, I get it. It's one thing to acknowledge what the founders of jiu-jitsu did for the sport and what they brought to the mainstream. But again, we don't need to treat them like they're infallible gods. And you can recognize and appreciate one aspect of a person's life and disagree with and not need to glorify their life as a whole because you like that one aspect.
I agree.
So I might have to cut this part out. This might stay in, this might not. We'll see how the conversation goes. And I'm not taking a stance in any direction. I would change the very, very strong ties between MMA and jiu-jitsu and extreme conservative politics. And I'm not making a stance either way. But there's two camps. There's two camps. It seems to be the very, very, very extreme far right that's very vocal at jiu-jitsu schools. And then there's everybody else on the political spectrum who just shuts up about it because we're there for jiu-jitsu. We're not on the politics subreddit. And I don't know why that is, and I don't know why people with such far right beliefs are drawn to jiu-jitsu, or if the correlation goes in the other direction, but I don't need politics at the academy. I don't need politics on the mat.
Yeah, I don't talk politics with anybody. I don't talk politics at work, which is, some people may find surprising given what I do. I don't really even speak politics with my family. I definitely don't speak politics at jiu-jitsu. It's like a slippery slope though, because some of these more notorious jiu-jitsu athletes have these platforms on social media, and they have large followings, and it's always been, how many times have you heard, like, use your position for good, like, use your status for good? And regardless of what we think or what anybody thinks, when people are pushing an agenda, like, that's what they think is good, whether it's far right or far left or whatever it is. Like, these influencers on social media are pushing agendas because they believe in it, and they think that, you know, more people should see their views, and they have the means to do that through these platforms. It's just a slippery slope, like, to ask people. And I know that you're talking about, like, in gyms, like, just like average Joes, but when you have social media being what it is, and you have these big names saying, I mean, you know, we'll put it out there, like Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan is an ultra conservative, right? So he'll put out this stuff regarding politics, and we don't need to get into specifics, but he will essentially ignite a fucking war on social media between the far left and the far right. And it's people. And what is the one thing they have in common? They both followed Gordon Ryan's social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's you know.
Listen, we don't talk politics on this show because same reason we don't talk about it at the gym. People train jiu-jitsu for a break from the rest of the stresses of the world, politics included. So
yeah,
I don't need the added stress of who's on the side of the Nazis in Charlottesville and they were misunderstood. I don't need to hear that in between reps of closed guard arm bars. Like, I don't need to hear these conversations. And
just like our listeners, like, they take a break from reality and are like, what am I going to do tonight? And it's like, oh, these two extremely handsome guys who are articulate and intelligent, they had this podcast. We're going to listen to it. It's going to make me happy and laugh, especially the guy in the blue sweatshirt with the gray hat, because he's really funny and he carries the show because he's the talent. We really are looking forward to hearing him talk tonight, and his special little friend. But next thing you know, we're starting to talk in politics, and if Justin and my political views conflict, and then, you know, then it's just awkward, and we don't want awkward.
Imagine if you turned on your favorite political podcast and instead of talking politics, they were talking about the worm guard. You would probably...
That would be awesome. Can you imagine that if we just somehow infiltrated every like major political podcast? Hey, I'm Mike, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about the little thing we call deep half guard. Oh, they're going to be like, what the fuck is deep half guard? Is that something Russian? Is that code word for some Russian attack? You know?
Yeah, I think not, like I said, not everything needs a political argument. Like, there was a guy on one of our videos who didn't know what socialism is, trying to tell us that it was socialism if you train at a school where they don't charge you for belt tests. That's socialism. This is a jiu-jitsu show, man. Don't bring your political bullshit to our fucking show. Like, I'm sorry.
Who was that?
I don't even remember what the guy's name is, but if you want to look back through our old videos, maybe it was a video about signs you're at a bad school, and maybe it was a comment.
Oh, you're talking about... No, okay. All right. Yeah, no, it is. It's the guy who you were confusing there. He means that a guy commented on one of our videos. It wasn't a guest on one of our shows.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was a guy commenting.
Yeah, there was a guy that was commenting on that, and, you know, it's bizarre, but...
Yeah. Now, of course, because we said the words socialism and the words politics, there will be someone from each camp who disagrees with the other person from the other camp in the comments below this YouTube video.
Yeah.
And
it routinely happens.
And they'll either call us whatever stupid thing they call people who have snowflakes, or leftist, which I think is a really funny word, or they'll call us Trumpers, because I'm not taking a stance either way. I'm just saying I don't want to hear either political opinion, even if it's a political opinion I agree with. I get enough of that in my life. I don't need it on the mats.
True that. Or on our show, or in our fucking comments.
Yeah, I mean, leave comments And you can talk about how much better looking I am than Mike. That's a great comment, but I don't need to hear who you voted for and why you think I should vote for the person you like. I just don't.
Completely off topic. I might not be here next week. I have a modeling shoot.
Well, I can almost guarantee you that we'll put at least 2 episodes out next week because Mike will be free.
You know, we could sit here and talk about what we would change about Jiu Jitsu and all the little isms. But at the end of the day, and I'm speaking to you and me, we love this sport and we're so, wrapped up in jiu-jitsu, we do a fucking podcast about it,
Yeah.
So
now, again, when we make a list like this and we're doing like things we would change, yeah, everything has things you can change. And we're just having fun and we're just, we're looking at things as a whole. We're not canceling the podcast. We don't hate jiu-jitsu. You can save that comment too. I love jiu-jitsu. It's a huge part of my life and it has been for a decade. But it's just sometimes it's fun to think about like, I can make it exactly like I want it to be by doing this. And we have a podcast to talk about it.
If I could do that.
Yeah.
If I could do that and get those membership cards taken away from the thing. And then maybe secondary weigh-ins at the IBJJF,
Yeah. But it's all for fun.
And then if like maybe do that and make my co-host just a little bit more handsome, just so it's not like, hey, it's Mike and the bearded guy. It's like 2 handsome guys. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We put the links to our social media accounts below, so if you want to follow us individually or if you want to follow the show, give it a click. Check it out.
Don't forget, you can take 15% off your order at epicrollbjj.com by using the coupon code podcast15. epicrollbjj.com, coupon code podcast15. I'll put a link to that below in the description, and I'll also link below to our Patreon account. Like we said a little bit ago, we have a lot of content coming there, so make sure you check that out. And we appreciate any support you have for the show. Say, down with the IBJJF.
I can't say that. Just fix your fucking thing with your membership cards and the weigh-ins.
Say, mild changes to the IBJJF.
Say, let me weigh in twice.
Let Mike weigh in twice. He might need it. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.